Anthony Aiello, come on down. You're the next contestant on questions that have been asked to Bear on the Patreon page. Anthony, when and how does your group know exactly when to bug out? Great question. Seen this addressed several times recently by several other channels. And by seeing this addressed, I mean I saw that the video posted. I haven't watched any of them. So if I say the same things they said, great. If I say the same thing, or if I say the things they didn't say, maybe I suck. I don't know. All right, Anthony, the first thing I would say is you need to do an actual area study of where you are so that you understand the dynamics of where you are in four-dimensional space-time, because you need to understand normalcy where you are if you're going to identify the abnormal outliers in people's behaviors that are going to serve as indicators for you that it's time to go. So you need to do an area study, and that's, man, I could do a 4-hour video on area study. The Forward Observer channel has done some very good videos about this recently, so I would recommend you go watch Sam Culper at the Forward Observer channel on how to do an area study. Very, very good stuff, but you need to think about what in your area can break critical infrastructure and what are the downstream effects of those things breaking. Number one for most populated areas is going to be electricity, because electricity just runs everything else. Wastewater treatment, water pumping, trash incineration, blah, blah, blah. You know, pumping of fuel at fuel pumps for transportation, hospitals, HVAC. I mean, there's just, our society runs on the flowing electron. So electricity, and how does a grid down event, and it doesn't have to be, oh yeah, so Russia dropped a Tsar Bomba on us and destroyed our grid, and there was, you know, a huge EMP from the detonation of this nuclear device that knocked out all the blah blah blahs, and now we have no power. Man, recently there were 85,000 people out of power around here because a freaking tree limb touched a wire. So you get 72 hours deep into something like that and things get bad. So do an area study. What can fail? Who is around you? Another good resource is The Real Streets. Google it. It'll show you, you can look up maps of major metropolitan areas. It will show you gang territories. What gangs run what areas? Why is that useful? Well, two reasons. Number one, if you're plotting your bug out, you don't want to go right through the Bloods and the Crips and MS-13 and the Latin Kings and blah, 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 blah. So instead of doing this, you might want to go like this, because you're avoiding known territories of gangs. That's good to know. But also because by knowing where they are, that gives you an opportunity to observe them and to come up with a benchmark as to what their normal behavior is, so that if, when they increase their op tempo, when they start behaving more badly more often, that can serve as a bug out indicator for you. Localized food shortage. We've talked about this repeatedly. If you can't get food, or food is becoming exorbitantly expensive, that would be something that would raise my level of awareness for show. I don't think I need to tell any of y'all at this point that you should be stocking food. But if you're new here or unsure, yes, you should be stocking food. 25 buckets per person per year. I've done the math. The math is here on Patreon. I've reposted it. I posted it once and reposted it again. And if I need to, I'll repost it a second time for all the new people on that math. But 25 buckets per person per year. And that food is not like the, man, I'm going to eat this food until society comes back, and then I'm going to get me a double quarter pounder with cheese. No, that food is, I'm going to eat this food cautiously and sparingly while I spin my agriculture up to feed me, because who knows how long this could take. So, localized food shortage. Civil unrest. People behaving badly in the streets, man. If the Oath Keepers are standing on the roofs of the buildings in your neighborhood, you got a problem. If people are throwing bricks through windows and flipping cars and basically rioting and acting as if their hometown has won the Super Bowl, don't be there. You know, I've pissed a lot of people off, and I don't care, standing in that field right over there, saying, how do you avoid martial law? Simple. Don't be where it is. How do you avoid FEMA camps? Don't go there. How do you deal with civil unrest? I don't want to be anywhere near it. I don't want to be near it. I'm not going through it. I'm telling you what, Antifa will never hold a rally right over there. Never. Because it's a population density equation thing. Who's going to rally? Me and my neighbor? We might sit in our lawn chairs and drink Coors Light and watch them. Be like, hey man, y'all stay on that side of the gate. You get rowdy, we get shooty, okay? Okay, cool. No trespassy, hombre. But it's a population density thing. Nobody's rallying or rioting out here. But if you find yourself in a neighborhood that is rallying or rioting, that is going to serve as an indicator for me as well. Disruption to services. Like I said, man, electricity. Whew. No electricity, people are going to get very uncomfortable very quickly. What about just like fuel oil, which could be a transportation issue? In the Northeast, fuel oil, heating oil, people die without it. Yeah, people die without it. What about a disruption in transportation logistics? What's it, 93% of everything we touch in our daily life was at one point on a semi-truck? The average store has 3 days, 72 hours worth of food in it. So, you know, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But if we begin to see a disruption in local services, that the gas station doesn't have fuel, the local fuel oil company can't get fuel oil. Man, my telephone's just not working that good. You know, that fiber optic cables are going down, and it's taking them a long time to come back up again. Like I said, electricity. The world is built on the flow of electrons right now. So, if that goes away, no electricity will, 72 hours of no electricity will literally change people's lives, and not necessarily in a good way. So disruption of services, I'd be looking at that as well. Overwhelming force. This could be Bubba and Bubba's cousins in 2 pickup trucks. And they're coming, and it's time for you to go, because you can't take Bubba and his cousins in 2 pickup trucks. This could be your local non-constitutional law enforcement in a big city or major metropolitan area that's going to come and confiscate your armor or take your guns or whatever. And you're not going to be in a position to stand up to them. Overwhelming force. This could be that the Panamanian paratroopers landed in that field right over there, and there's 80 of them, and they're coming. Well, I'm decent with a pistol, pretty good with a rifle, but right now there's me and my wife and a toddler here. We're not taking on 80 paratroopers, not happening. Overwhelming force, it's time to go. So, this is all 30,000 foot elevation. What I would suggest that you do, again, is do that area study and develop benchmarks for normalcy where you're at, and then war game the 2nd, 3rd, 4th orders of effects. If these things go down, if there's no electricity, what does that look like in, you know, eastern seaboard Connecticut, or southwestern New Jersey, or Boca Raton, Florida, or Houston, Beaumont area, Texas, or whatever, Rough and Ready, California? Like, how do these things, you know, St. Paul, Minnesota, how do these things affect me right now, right? again, population density equation. Power goes out here for 3 days, and next, we're gonna go hang out with our neighbors and sit in our lawn chairs and drink beer, probably, right? And I'm oversimplifying here, I'm rednecking it up a little bit, but we'll be okay. And so will the vast majority of the people around us. They will be okay. Power goes out in, let's see, let's pick a town. How about Bridgeport, Connecticut? The murder capital of the East Coast. Starting salary for a police officer is $120K a year. Power goes out in Bridgeport for 72 hours. Call the National Guard, babe. It's rough now. Real rough. But you need to understand what normal looks like where you are so that you can quantify that when normal, not normal happens, you're not just like, I don't know, man, should I go? Should I not go? Yeah, you should go. The other thing that I'll say is the more populated you are, the more often you need to be having false starts. You need to be leaving, bugging out for real, regularly. I would really rather you left a week too early than a minute too late. One of the things that I tell people is, if you're an employee, do this. If you're an employer, make provisions for this in the way that you do business. Always have a week's worth of vacation saved up. Always. The places where you can get vacation. Otherwise, build a rapport with your boss that if you had to take a week off, yeah, you might have a week unpaid, but you'd still have a job when you got back, okay? Build rapport. But always have a week's worth of vacation saved up. And if you gotta go, hey, Bob, listen, it's T. I'm not gonna be in today. Oh, man, what's going on? It's a family emergency. Is everything, yeah, man. Yeah, everything's fine, but I mean, it's a family emergency. I gotta go. Okay, well, when I don't know, man. I don't know, but I'll be in touch. But it's a family emergency. Click. I'm taking my vacation. It's a family emergency. Click and go. Worst case scenario, you burned a week's worth of vacation and you're still alive to talk about it. And then when you come back and they're like, hey, how was that thing? Like, fine. Is everything all right? Yeah, family emergency. Okay, well, if you want to talk about it, thanks, Bob, but I really don't. Okay, I'm just I really don't want to talk about it. If I do, I'll let you know. Okay, Bob, I appreciate that, but I'm just kind of tore up about it. Man, is everything all right? Yeah, it's fine. Listen, I'll get you those reports, Bob. Family emergency, okay? Yeah, okay, all right. Sorry, T. So, that's a way. But you should be bugging out often. Delivery truck going up my road. Like a big one. That doesn't happen often. But as far as bug out indicators, indicators are all based on status quo. And if you don't have your pulse on the status quo, you're gonna miss it. So do your area study. Figure out who the bad actors are, who the good actors are, what assets are available to you, what critical infrastructure is around, and what's gonna happen when that critical infrastructure breaks, and what windows of opportunity exist for you to pack your stuff up and leave ASAP when you need to. So hope that helps, y'all. Shalom.